Check in with Bryant Clerkley at the Gateway Transit Center. Devin Haskins is live in Drive 8. We have a lot going on this morning.
We certainly do. A lot going on and affecting a lot of people, for sure.
So,
Chris, I'm sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Chris McGinnis is here.
Hello.
The man of the hour, as you've been saying here.
The man talking about the snow showers and sleet showers, and predominantly what fell overnight here in the Portland metro area in Vancouver was sleet. If you're looking outside and you're like, oh, why is that road kind of, covered in white? Well, that was sleet. But you know what it's doing right now in Newport? It's sideways raining. There is a gusty south wind last check at Newport, and the temperature has jumped up to 50 degrees along the Central Oregon coast, and the wind is howling at about 20 to 30. So we've got sideways rain in Newport. From that camera, we switch gears and give you this, the live look over downtown Portland. We've got either snow and sleet or a kind of a mixture of precipitation falling out there right now. And here's the key thing. At the airport, we're still way below freezing. 22 last check at PDX. The east wind is not as strong as it was yesterday at this time. In fact, yesterday we were like 30-mile-an-hour winds, right? Not the case this morning. It's still breezy, and it still makes it feel even colder. The feels like temperature still down in the single digits to lower teens, but not quite as strong yesterday. Again, snow now, light snow being reported at PDX. Here's the live look from our Rose City sky camera. That's Interstate 5 northbound there. This is the ramp from I-5 north to I-84. Traffic looks like there's a car making the transition from 84 westbound onto I-5 south. Slow and steady says it if you are considering getting out on the roads, and you probably shouldn't consider getting out on the roads unless you have winter tires or chains on this morning, because it is icy, as we've been seeing in many locations. Over the last 2 hours, here's the radar. We've got mixed precipitation and in some cases even a little snow flying at PDX. The big perspective here across the region showing temperatures that are miles from freezing. It's 22 in Vancouver, 23 in Sherwood. As we slip south into the Willamette Valley, we've come up a degree or two. It's 26 now in Salem, 25 in Kaiser. I don't think the Portland metro area gets above the freezing mark until sometime late tonight. So guys, that means everything that falls today as we transition to more of a freezing rain mixture will become ice on area roadways. We are not out of this by any stretch just yet. We'll keep you posted throughout the morning.
Yes, you will. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's not getting any better, and we've got Devin Haskins out there on the roads to prove it. In fact, we were talking with WashDOT earlier about Highway 14, State Route 14 in Washington State, and that is where Devin is right now on the road. Devin?
Hey, Tim. Yeah, we're on, as you said, SR 14. We're just about 5 miles west of Camas right now. It is, the roads, I'm just going to turn it around. The roads, it feels like there's a sheet of ice, but it looks gray. I'm not saying they're clear. They're not clear by any means, but it's hard to tell kind of, and maybe that's the tricky part about driving is it's hard to kind of really tell what the conditions are. SR 14, really the alternative to I-84 being closed, but even if you do try and go through the gorge on SR 14, it's not a pretty picture. It's not going to be fun because traction tires are required from milepost 18, that's near Gibbons Creek, all the way over to 65 in the gorge. That's pretty much on the other side of Hood River there. That being said, though, heavy trucks, semi-trucks and whatnot are not allowed on this road. So trucks backing up over there in the Troutdale area. Here on SR 14, a slow go. I can tell by our windshield that we got some freezing rain coming down, so it's starting to freeze over. I can tell that we're probably gonna have to pull over here within the next couple minutes and scrape our windshields again. You can just hear, I don't know if you guys can hear it now, but you can hear the windshield wipers scrape over the top of that ice on the windshields and whatnot. So yeah, up here in Vancouver, we were up in the Salmon Creek area just a couple minutes ago. You saw, if you've been with us all morning, or at least the last hour, you saw a C-Tran bus get stuck there at the I-205 off-ramp of near 134th. That bus is now gone on its route. Hooray for Tyrone, the bus driver. But just goes to show icy conditions all around the area. That bus, as well as a support truck that was trying to lay down de-icer for that bus, got stuck as well. So just icy conditions really all over. I asked Eric when we were coming to a stop one time, I was like, hey, just put on the brakes and see what happens. And like right now, okay, he just did it. And we come to a complete stop practically. Oh, are we sliding?
No.
Oh, he's going to pull over and scrape our windshields. And then when we did that there, we started to slip and slide. And then within a half hour, the weather changed. It was freezing rain. Now it's, it was a little more sleet, so it gave us a little bit more traction. But as you heard Tamara Greenwell with WashDOT say, you could hit traction a little bit in one area. You could hit really hard ice right now. So we were pulled over here along SR14 because the ice is, as you see Eric walk in front of the camera, the ice is just kind of taking over our windshield and whatnot. So as we get prepared to keep driving and Eric scrapes the windshield, we're gonna send it back to you guys.
Absolutely. You guys be safe. We'll be checking back. Patterson does it all, doesn't he?
He does. He really does.
All right, let's check in with Bryant Clerkley as well. Looks like you have an interview. You are live at the Gateway Transit Center this morning, Bryant.
Hey, Brenda, I'm here with Dominique, and Dominique just got off the Blue Line, right? Tell me, there's been some disruptions this morning. You're headed to work. Tell me what your experience has been like.
Well, it's really not too bad. Like, the Max is actually moving kind of consistently. It's a little bit slower than usual, but everything else is pretty much fine, besides the weather, of course. But as far as the Max is moving, it's moving pretty frequently. Probably a little 30-minute delay or something, maybe a couple extra minutes, but it should be cool as far as that.
And what would you recommend to people? Obviously, you're bundled up right now. What are the weather conditions like to you?
To me, I'm really like a hot person, so I'd rather be in the sun somewhere bathing or something, but I would just say bundle up, wear extra sweater. I got 2 sweats on, if you can see. You just got to make sure you stay warm out here. It's pretty cold. That's all I can say, really.
And, with this weather and with the roads being icy, TriMet is crucial right now for a lot of people. How crucial is it for you to get to where you need to go?
TriMet is really kind of like consistent as far as like keeping up on the weather updates. So honestly, it's not really too bad. It's just a little bit of a delay. Probably got to get up a little bit extra earlier sometimes or something. But other than that, everything should be cool. You just got to stay warm out here.
Are you staying warm, man? You got everything on?
Yeah, I'm trying. I got a coat, sweater on. I got on 2 pairs of sweats. I got on 2 pairs of socks.
I like the shoes.
And are you taking the shuttle bus to your next location?
No, I'm actually just going to walk. It's just right up the street.
Be careful, Dominique, man.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing this interview. Be very careful and stay warm, man.
Y'all too.
Yes.
Y'all working hard out here.
Yeah, we are, man. It was very nice to meet you, and good luck at work today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Have a good one.
So, yeah, like Dominique said, if you're coming to catch these trains right now, you're going to need to bundle up, and there's going to be some delays, so you got to be patient with these shuttle buses. But TriMet is doing a good job with keeping people updated. The Blue Line and the Red Line had some disruptions this morning. There's not too many people down standing in the awnings just because it is so cold, so I think that most people are still at home. But just like Dominique, people have to get to work, and they are choosing to not drive. They are taking TriMet, which is a good idea. So Brenda, Tim?
He has the line of the morning, Bryant. Yeah, I want to be somewhere warm and just be out bathing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
bathing in the
Sunbathing.
sun.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do.
We really do.
Yes, we do.
We love Dominique. He had just a great chill attitude, I thought.
Thank you, Bryant.
All right. Well, moving on now, we're going to talk about city streets and what's being done to keep them, as best they can be. Dylan Rivera here with PBOT. And Dylan, what's the latest from you in terms of what your crews are running up against this morning?
We're continuing to fight these icy conditions, occasional freezing rain here and there. We've got, so far, the highlight has been just how many folks are just staying off the roads. It's really critical. And, in a situation like this, to only have 2 small road closures, relatively small, steep streets and residential streets is really remarkable. There are many cases where we've seen in past storms like this where we've seen multi-car pileups because folks went out on the streets unprepared. And so we really appreciate that everyone has been prepared for this, prepared to stay off the roads and stay warm, stay home.
So, Dylan, what are those 2 closures that you mentioned?
Northeast Gilham Road in the North Tabor area, and then Southwest 60th Avenue. Also, this morning, we, in coordination with Washington County, have a chain requirement, chains or traction tires required on West Burnside. which, as you know, on the west side leads into Washington County, and also Sam Jackson Park Road leading up to OHSU. In terms of getting folks to OHSU, the Portland Aerial Tram is often really a star performer in winter weather. The tram was normally scheduled to stop service last night at about 9:30, but extended its hours overnight to help the medical personnel get to OHSU Hospital. So the tram continues to be a stellar performer in winter weather. And that's a great resource for us, but folks, by and large, need to continue to really use patience, use your snow and ice plan that you created to stay home, stay off the roads.
All right. Well, yeah, the tram, that's good to know about. And again, West Burnside and Sam Jackson Parkway up to OHSU, chains or traction tires required. Hey, I want to ask you real quick, Dylan, if we could. Can you talk about the use of salt and how it's being utilized in this really cold weather? Is that still useful at this point?
Absolutely. It's a great resource for us. We've refined our use of salt over the years since we started back in early 2017 using salt here in the city of Portland. We use it on those really critical routes, really trouble spots, especially in the West Hills, but also in the Mount Scott area in East Portland, Mount Tabor as well. It's very effective, as effective as anything can be. But as you're seeing in conditions like this, where we have used salt, where we have used the anti-icing fluid in advance, there's a little bit more traction. But in a citywide event like this, to even reach one of those routes, you're going to have a really icy commute, a really icy travel experience. And so for the most part, if you can avoid it, it's just not worth it.
We had Drive 8 out the last time we talked to you, and they were trailing a red car, and that car was trailing your crews, the salters, sanders, whatnot, and it looked like the driver wanted to do a little left-hand thing and maybe go around the plow and the icers, de-icers, and then he thought better of it. Can you just give our viewers one quick thing? If they have to be out and they come across your crews, what is the proper thing to do?
Slow down and give our crews plenty of space. More room than you would normally give. It could be stopping distance, could be staying in a totally different lane. Do not pass them. They are really in a tough spot because they're often really high up in a large vehicle with limited visibility of the roadway around them. And they also are dealing with the same icy conditions that you behind the wheel are, but they have a multi-thousand-pound vehicle, often loaded down with liquid or salt or gravel. So they really have a tough job out there and need everyone's help by giving them plenty of room to maneuver. It can be scary for them when they see people getting too close, and then they have to take some sort of action to stop suddenly or take an evasive maneuver.
Right. That is such good information and important to remind drivers about that. Dylan Rivera with Peapod, thanks very much for joining us with the latest road conditions here in Portland. I'm giving you a live look outside right now.
Thank you.
I'm not sure exactly where that is, but it definitely looks like the sleet fell in that area, and here comes a vehicle going through it as we speak. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay.
Hey, Booth. like it has snowed out there, but it is ice, and that is interfering with a lot of people's travel just before Christmas. We want to check in with KGW's Evan Watson. He's live this morning out at PDX, and boy, Evan, you've been hearing some amazing stories from
Truly.
passengers.
All Alaska Airlines and Horizon flights, both in and out of Portland and Seattle, are canceled until noon today. That's affecting a lot of travelers here at the airport. In addition to that, at SeaTac, only one runway is currently operational after de-icing. Everything else was shut down for about an hour this morning. All runways were closed. So up here in the Pacific Northwest, really feeling the effects of those ice storms. In total, I've got some numbers I'll check here for you. PDX reports 180 flight cancellations so far today, both for departures and arrivals. I'd estimate about 85% of flights are canceled, and about 18 flights have been delayed. A couple of them still going through there, and I've talked with some lucky people as well. So I'll step out and we can take a look here. This is the United and Hawaiian Airlines flights, both for bag check and then for customer service over on the right. Of course, flights are not only impacted by the weather here, but by the winter storms all around the country and those destinations as well. I talked with one woman who is trying to fly to visit her family in Mexico. She's waited a long time for this, but is having a tough time of it.
Well, this morning I came and I make my line, and when I got there, they said, well, your flight been canceled. I said, I didn't receive any text or any email. It was hard for me to get over here. And they said, but we don't know when you can go, you can fly back where you're going. And I told her, I'm so sad because I'm supposed to spend time with my family in Mexico after 30 years. I haven't seen my family.
30 years?
Yes. And I was so happy finally that I can go and spend Christmas Eve and Christmas with them.
So she was trying to figure out a solution for her. She may have to wait until Sunday or even Monday to see if she can get a flight there to see her family, and others are having similar issues here. Also, once you're here and a flight gets canceled, then you're figuring out transportation, right? So there's two sides to this coin. If you get the alert about cancellation early enough, thankfully people can stay home. But a lot of the people here at the airport either are hoping for delayed, or they've got their flights on schedule right now, or their flights were canceled once they were already here, and now they're figuring out those backup plans. I should say as well that I'm hearing a lot of TSA agents called out today. Security is not very long, those lines, because there aren't many flights going through, but that's another wrinkle to add in here. And ultimately check flypdx.com to see those flight statuses as well. And I should add, guys, that family of Hawaii, the 29 members of a family that are trying to fly to Hawaii that we chatted about earlier, and we talked to them earlier, they have gone through security.
Yes.
And they've gotten to their gate. So let's hope for that flight actually stays on time. As of right now, I'm going to check the board. Actually, I'm going to look at it. It is 15 minutes delayed, but that's about as good as you can hope for right now. So it's looking great.
And
yeah.
Didn't the woman who you interviewed earlier from that family say there were 29 of them and they had planned this for what, four and a half years?
Yeah. Yes, this has been a plan of theirs for 4.5 years, pre-pandemic plan for this to go to Hawaii for Christmas this year. 29 of them, exactly right. They're going to Oahu. And they felt like they were the luckiest ones in the world, but also still can't be too excited or celebrate just yet. You have to get that plane off the ground and into the air right before you can cheer.
Get it up in the air, that's
We're
for sure.
sending them good energy for sure. Evan Watson, thank you so much, live at PDX this morning.
Man, there's got to be so much disappointment out there for so many. We hope that these golden examples get through for sure.
Yeah, Devin said a lot of them are exasperated.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not the family, but just the passengers in general.
The relief
it's a
that one
lot.
feels when you're finally up.
It's like, please.
Wheels up, you bet.
All right, let's go ahead and give you the look outside right now. We're appearing from our Wells Fargo sky camera, and interestingly, this is interesting to me, we've switched over to some light snow, back to light snow. I truthfully expected us to go the other direction towards freezing rain, but right now, the camera's showing us light snow over downtown Portland, and that is the airport observation as well. 22 degrees at PDX, east winds at 11 miles an hour, still funneling in that cold air at the surface. It's 25 in Woodland. Hillsborough right now checking in with 22, Boring at 19, Troutdale at 19. The wind is still much stronger on the east side of town and through the Columbia River Gorge. Salem's at 26. Eugene is still below freezing as well. As long as we're below freezing, winter precipitation and freezing rain is still the issue. This is at noon. Our modeling suggests that Eugene gets up to 43. But just up the road in Corvallis, only 25, and 25 here in Portland as well. So tantalizingly close to the freezing mark in Salem, but not there yet until this afternoon. Meanwhile, late in the day, Salem finally potentially warms to about 35. Again, there's a little wiggle room here with the modeling, but Portland nowhere near it, right? We've got several degrees to go, and I don't think that we warm above freezing or at least to freezing until late tonight, and that is what Futurecast is showing us. At 11:30, Portland finally up to near the freezing mark. Longview, Kelso, you folks get above freezing significantly earlier than the Portland-Vancouver metro area does, and what that means is that the threat for wintry precipitation and especially freezing rain will be much longer in duration for the heart of the metro area. And I can show that to you with Futurecast. We'll roll the clock on our computer model through the morning hours here. And again, intermittent light freezing rain and sleet is generally the story. One thing I am kind of watching and curious to see, our modeling does pick up on a more intense, longer duration band of precip coming in late in the day. And if this materializes as such, Portland is still expected to be below freezing. So that is still going to be a threat for freezing rain here in Portland until probably late tonight. Eventually, probably sometime early tomorrow morning, we finally get out of the icebox. And I'm happy to tell you that once we get above the freezing mark tomorrow morning or late tonight here in Portland and Vancouver and for basically all of the lowlands, we will stay above freezing for the rest of our 7-day forecast. We'll be right back.
Because when you've got ice on power lines and trees, that can equal outages. We want to bring in John Farmer this morning. He is with Portland General Electric. John, good morning. Update us on the outages that you're seeing so far.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on. So I just checked our outage map. We're under 8,000 outages, and our crews continue to work as quickly as safety allows. And I think that's an important thing to remember. We want to be safe for our crews as well. So We're going to keep working through the day. We had about 375 personnel on the ground yesterday, and I don't have the exact number for you right now, but we're going to have more than that on hand today.
John, can you talk about the nature of these outages? Are they caused by trees into power lines? Is it ice on the lines?
Yeah, so yesterday we saw a lot of wind caused outages, and it's the wind blowing those trees around, it's branches hitting the lines, things like that. And so I do want to also add that if viewers, customers, anybody sees a downed line, please treat it as if it's live and do not go near it, and just give us a call so we can go out and address it.
So I'm looking at this outage map and it really appears to be widespread, but how many customers does PGE have? And then you mentioned under 8,000, but what's your total customer base?
So our total customer base is just over 900,000 customers.
Wow.
So we're our crews are keeping this pretty well contained, and we really appreciate all their hard work.
So are you surprised that there aren't more? You're probably relieved that there aren't more.
Well, we have some top-notch folks on our team, and we're really fortunate to have the team that we have. And so I think our commitment to the reliability that we provide our customers and the power we serve, and making sure that the grid is resilient in the face of these types of changing weather conditions is really important to us. And so I think it's a good indicator that our crews are doing their jobs really, really well.
So John, going forward in the weather that's still coming, what are the concerns about what might transpire?
Well, we obviously are going to be keeping an eye on the weather conditions as they move forward. We have meteorologists on team. We have lots of folks who are analyzing the situation for us. I think obviously the thing that we're looking at now is the ice and the precipitation, but we're going to have to handle that as it comes. But we are totally prepared for this. We are ready with personnel on the ground. We have supplies at hand. We have crews ready to go. So we will be tackling these outages as they appear.
All right, kudos to you and your crews. I know they're working hard out there, and 900,000 plus customers, less than 8,000 are having no electricity this morning. I think that's a good record. We wish everybody well. John Farmer, thank you. Stay with us. Much more of KGW News at Sunrise after the break. Is causing major issues this morning.
4.5 years we've been planning it, so a little weather wasn't gonna hold us back.
She might be a lucky one, but flights are nearly at a standstill at PDX. All Alaska flights are canceled until at least noon.
And it doesn't get any easier on the roads. We've seen a C-Tran bus slide out, and the message is to stay at home if you can. Thousands across the metro area are without power, down lines into trees, the major culprit.
So I woke up when I heard a giant boom, and I live right, like that's my room right there. So I look out my window and I just see it look like lightning, like 30 shocks.
So don't expect any changes soon. These freezing temperatures are going to linger for the rest of the day.
Yes, they are. And here's a live look outside. The Rose City Skycam pointed north towards the Moda Center. And yeah, you can see the difference in the roadways there. There's sleet on there. There's some roads that have been more traveled, but and a little bit more traffic on the roads at the 7:30 time frame.
So walk us through the rest of the day.
A lot of folks kind of heeding the advice to maybe not get out there. So,
Sure they
okay, to your question, the rest of the day, we're not getting anywhere near freezing in Portland until much later in the day. And the precipitation is going to continue coming at us in waves. Not heavy.
The current temperature is?
Our current temperature is 22.
Okay.
We have probably a solid 12 hours plus before Portland gets anywhere near freezing. So what falls will be sticking to the ground. Here's a live look from our Wells Fargo sky camera. Interestingly, we've kind of gone back over to a little bit of a snow mixture over downtown and at the airport. But in any event, as we mentioned, 22 last check in PDX. The east wind is strong, but it's not as strong as yesterday. East wind right now sustained at 11, which has backed off considerably, right? 22 now in Hillsborough, 19 in King City, 26 in Salem. Eugene and Corvallis are still below freezing as well. Obviously, it's much colder east of the Cascades this morning, although not as cold as yesterday. Pullman at 11 is a full 30 degrees warmer than it was yesterday at this time. There is some massive Arctic air that is heading eastward and obviously impacting airports east of the Rockies, like, you know, O'Hare and New York and Philadelphia, et cetera. So they've got their problems. We've got ours. We've got mixed precipitation, freezing rain, sleet, snow, the gamut. But I think the transition here, or the trend, will be more towards freezing rain as we head through our day today. Warm air comes in aloft. It melts the snowflakes that are falling from the ground, or falling from the sky, I should say. Meanwhile, at the surface, that cold east wind keeps filtering in cold air at the surface. And so basically what happens is anything that falls through that and onto the ground freezes on contact. And that's what I anticipate happening for the remainder of today. Not an unrelenting ice storm per se in terms of precipitation, but it will be on and off. And that means that throughout the day, when we see that freezing rain, we're going to see slick spots continue to develop. And what's on the ground now is not going to melt anytime soon, right? We've got at least 12 more hours of sub-freezing temperatures in the metro area. By 4 o'clock, Futurecast does also depict another steadier, heavier band of precipitation coming in. And at the same time, you'll note that basically from Clark County, Washington County, Multnomah County, Clackamas County, Northern Marion County, our modeling suggesting that that stays in the form of freezing rain. Whereas we start to warm up down towards Eugene, Corvallis, and maybe even into the Salem area, not so much in and around the metro area. And that is going to be probably some trouble here late into our late afternoon and early evening before that round moves on out. Finally, I think overnight tonight is when temperatures warm enough that we get some significant melting in the metro area. By the way, there is more rain headed our way for tomorrow. All right, real quick, I want to show you the temperatures in the forecast. 25 at noontime here in Portland, 25 in Corvallis, but 43 in Eugene. The warmer air will come surging northward slowly at first, but Salem probably gets above the freezing mark or close to it right around 4 o'clock. Here in Portland, it may be midnight before we get there, and that's why the roads in and around the metro area are continuing or will continue to be very slick. Eventually, we get there, we get above freezing, and from Saturday, Christmas Eve, and beyond, our forecast looks much better. I want to give you a quick look at the roads if we can. Do we have the ODOT cameras queued up? And if we can, we will go ahead and show those to you, give you kind of a little round-robin tour. This is I-5 up near Victory Boulevard. That's in North Portland. You can see, obviously, traffic very, very light. With good reason, right? Because we've got snow and ice covered roadways out there. So guys, with that, in this view, I will pass it along to you to give us some of the other views across the metro area this morning.
Oh yeah, and we've got some more views for you for sure. We've got our crews out there throughout the Portland metro area, and you can see them there on your screen. And we're going to start with Devin Haskins, who's on I-205 south of Foster. Devin, what are the conditions there for you?
A lot of blowing snow. We're here at I-205, just going under the Johnson Creek Boulevard overpass as we're kind of nearing that Clackamas County line. here in a couple of miles before we reach the Sunnyside exit right now. I'm going to flip it around. What you see in front of us is you see what looks like clear lanes, but then you see that blowing snow that's just been pushed into the lines of the lanes, and it's off to the side. So it's a lot thicker on the sides of the roads than, if we were to try and switch lanes here, a little bit thicker snow than what is in the middle. And again, winds picking up, or at least what feel like they've been picking up over here versus other parts of the area that we've been in. All over, it's interesting looking at this because this isn't indicative of what it's been all over. Other areas like I-5 over in downtown Portland, 26, 217, it has been just snow covered, just a solid sheet of snow and ice on the roads, and just very, 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 very icy, very tricky driving. There is, Eric was pointing out a car of something that happened. Everything's fine, but yeah, just everybody kind of taking it slow. But still, it's been icy in some areas that we've been in, and others, it's just covered in this sleet or snow, whatever the official term is, to try and drive in. So right now we are just coming up on the Sunnyside Road exits here on I-205, and we'll be driving around all morning, kind of giving live looks as you guys, we continue talking about this ice storm and snowstorm that came in overnight.
Hey, Devin, real quick before we let you go, you have been on the road with photographer Eric Patterson for at least 3 hours. Can you compare and contrast? What is the evolution, if any, since you've been out there?
I would say in the beginning, it's nice right now looking that it's the daylight is finally coming up. So you can kind of get a really good look beyond just the headlights. I would say that we experienced, just really bitter cold temperatures as we were coming into work, and you get a little bit of that freezing rain. And then when we were in North Vancouver, we got like the heavy droplets of freezing rain, and then it switched back over to that sleet kind of mixture or whatever. Again, as the freeways go and the highways go, it's been a good mix of clear like this because of the wind pushing it off to the side, and then it's been completely covered. We've seen plows drop salt or gravel, on the freeways. We've seen plows with their blades down, just kind of clearing the roads and everything like that. But it's been a wide mix of seeing everything from ice to snow to sleet, just as expected. Kind of what's out here, but definitely slippery conditions. I can tell you that much. We have slipped.
All right, well, you take care. I know you will, and we appreciate you getting out there and braving the elements so other people don't have to. Devin Haskins, along with photographer Eric Patterson.
For sure. All right, from I-205 to Hood River now and I-84, and we've got Joel Ives with the Hood River County Sheriff's Office on the line. Good morning, Joel. How's it going in Hood River County this morning? How are the conditions out there for you?
Well, not too bad at the moment. We got about half to 3/4 of an inch of snow overnight. Really nothing too crazy. About maybe a half hour to an hour ago, we started getting some freezing rain. But actually right at the moment, nothing is coming down at all. But with Interstate 84 closed, the impact has really been pretty mild so far. We expect it to get a bit dicier later today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure that's going to happen. We're looking at video here of the moment when last night around 8 o'clock they closed the gate so nobody could get through the gorge. Can you describe some of those conditions? Because the gorge is always, it is the wind tunnel and the refrigerator and that wind whipping down there. And just describe some of the conditions that made it necessary that are particularly disastrous in the gorge.
Well, what you mentioned with the wind, that really makes things particularly dicey when added to the slick conditions. The wind was heavier on the western gorge outside of Hood River County. We still had some pretty heavy winds in the Cascade Locks area and that kind of region, but it really just makes for just an added element that drivers have to pay attention to of having to even fight the wheel sometimes to stay on the road. And then with ice it's just treacherous, and I think ODOT made a good decision to get that closed before anything major happened.
And Joel, you've got your deputies out on the roads now. I mean, has that wind dropped off? What are the conditions, and are people heeding the warnings and staying off the roads as much as possible?
Yeah, so far so good. Traffic has been really light. Again, Interstate 84, especially with the holiday weekend, that being closed definitely lessens the traffic somewhat. And I think people are heeding the warnings. The Hood River County office is closed for Friday, and I think a number of other places are. We're really hoping that as many businesses as possible do the same, just so that workers don't feel the need to get out and get on the roads, and people just stay home and stay warm.
What are your deputies telling you? Have there been any incidents that they've responded to thus far?
Nothing through the night or this morning. Again, I think people are being pretty smart, and having the interstate closed down really lessens the impact. The local people, they know what to do with winter weather. It's the ones that are traveling through that maybe aren't as familiar with what gorge conditions can bring. That's where we tend to see more problems. And so with that closed, it definitely helps us out.
All right, Joel. Well, we love Hood River, but I'm going to tell you, we're not going to come visit you today, okay?
Not a problem.
Okay.
Next time.
Thanks so much.
Darn tourists. Always causing trouble.
Yeah.
The locals do
around
know.
then.
Yeah.
Highway 26, Highway 35, which is not advisable at this point because obviously, as we heard from Don Hamilton earlier, those roads aren't exactly in good shape either. So the gorge itself, not out of the woods. I know the weather didn't look all that bad out there, this morning, and as the sheriff is saying, it's a little bit of freezing rain, light stuff. The precipitation on radar here looks very, very light in the gorge. But here's the thing. The winter storm warning for the gorge continues until 10 p.m. tomorrow night. And what we are anticipating is that while Portland finally begins to thaw out tonight, all of that rain that moves in tonight and tomorrow will probably be freezing rain out towards Hood River and the Dalles. And so that's why the winter storm warning is in much longer duration in the Columbia River Gorge. The east wind, of course, as the sheriff mentioned, strong, but it's actually easing. And it was the west end of the gorge that really had the wild wind gusts, right? Crown Point, Corbett clocked a wind gust over 80 miles an hour in a couple of reporting sites between Crown Point and Corbett yesterday. Those winds are backing off some, but they're still there, and they're still channeling or funneling that cold air into Portland as the moisture continues moving in on top of us. So with that said, we will continue to see repeated rounds of generally light precipitation, but as we know, it doesn't take much, and as this precipitation trends towards freezing rain and away from sleet and snow, it really doesn't take much to create some problems out there on the roads. And the other point to this story is that we're not going to warm up very much. This is Futurecast at noontime. Hood River pegged at 13 degrees. Portland at 25 degrees. Yeah, Eugene gets to 43, and the warm air is coming, and the southern Willamette Valley and the central Willamette Valley will warm up significantly faster than the metro area. But as long as that breeze continues blowing through the gorge, the refrigerator or freezer door is open, so to speak, to allow that low-level cold air to stay in place as those repeated rounds of rain and freezing rain move on top of us. This is at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Once again, Futurecast wants to warm Salem to 35, but only 29 here in Portland, 15 in Hood River. So as long as we have that cold east wind blowing, we're filtering in the low-level cold air and keeping the threat for wintry precipitation across the Portland-Vancouver metro area, while areas to the south and to the north, you folks up in Cowlitz County, will thaw out faster than downtown Vancouver or Hillsborough or Troutdale. Here's Futurecast at 7:30. We roll the clock again into the throughout the day. Mixed precipitation, generally in the form of sleet or freezing rain. One thing I'm interested in here is that our modeling has been continuing to pick up on a slightly more intense, longer duration band of precip coming in late this afternoon. At 4 o'clock, with the east wind still blowing out of the gorge, temperatures in Portland and Vancouver will still be below freezing. So if this materializes, this could be a kind of a shot of some heavier, steadier sleet and most likely freezing rain in the metro area. And once again, with temperatures not getting anywhere near freezing until late in the afternoon or evening, anything that's on the roads this morning is not going to melt. All right, finally, by late tonight, I think we shut the precipitation off, at least initially, before the next round of stuff moves in tomorrow. And thankfully, for most of us west of the Cascades, tomorrow's precip is rain. It's just plain rain. In fact, that's what I've got in the forecast tomorrow. PDX gets to about 31 today. Areas to the south of town, like Woodburn, Salem, getting into Marion County and points south. You'll warm up much, much faster. But Portland and Vancouver, I think we're stuck, below the freezing mark for most of the day. We finally get there tomorrow with a mix potentially early in the day, transitioning to just plain rain. And then our 7-day forecast, happy to tell you this, remains above freezing, completely above freezing once we get there tomorrow. Out of Vancouver, moving slowly, but reasonably slowly here as they roll southbound on I-5 through North Portland. We'll switch gears behind door number 2. Let's see what we've got on the west side here. Skyline Boulevard. It's looking pretty frosty out there. Here's a look at traffic coming down Highway 26 from Sylvan, and traffic both ways. Again, scattered out there, giving each other a good, safe following distance, and traffic, I imagine these folks probably have traction tires on to get around. That's your best bet at this point if you have to be on the roads. This is I-84, the Banfield out near 28th Avenue, east or westbound traffic on that side of your screen. You can see that there's hard snowpack and ice on the ground there. We'll take one more tour here behind door number 4. Let's see what we've got there. I've got another notorious slick spot, the 217 ramp from I-5 north to 217 north. And again, hard packed snow and ice in some cases on the road, and maybe even a little bit of slush here and there as well, and very, very light traffic. Guys, that's what the freeways look like, but obviously you get away from the interstate system and side roads, and even some of the major arterials are still pretty packed and covered with sleet, and now in some cases freezing rain.
All right, Chris, thank you very much.
For sure. All right, well, now we're going to get out to Brian Clerkley, who has been braving it out there. We've got Devin Haskins and Drive 8 there you see on the roads, but Brian's out in the thick of it for TriMet and at Gateway Transit Center for folks that are taking the bus or the train. Brian?
Yeah, hey, Tim. Well, there's not too many people taking the trains this morning. There are some people trying to get to work. Obviously, the Red Line has some service interruptions, so people are getting to this Gateway Transit Center and then taking shuttle buses to the airport. So those shuttle buses are arriving pretty frequently, and the trains are arriving frequently too. So if you're coming out to catch one of the MAX trains, you need to be bundled up and be prepared to wait a little bit longer than usual. Just be patient because the weather is causing service interruptions, especially if you're taking the blue line as well. We just talked to somebody in the last half hour that was headed to work, so he was pretty happy with the service. Everyone wants to avoid the roads because they're slick on the way over here. The roads were covered in snow, and then we had to keep defrosting our windshield because the ice kept building up on it, and some of our equipment is freezing too. So just the brutal cold out out here is starting to get to me, but I know it's getting to a lot of the people that were standing out here earlier. But the trains seem to be coming, the shuttle buses seem to be coming. So everyone, just be patient and avoid the roads if you can. And if you're coming to this parking lot, it is slick. So you need to be careful, walk slowly, you don't want to fall. So just take extra precautions today. Brenda, Tim?
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you very much, Bryant. Let's show you what it looks like inside the terminal now. That's where we find Evan Watson. He's been talking to passengers, crossing their fingers, Evan, that they can fly out today.
Yeah, there's that hope, and there's also that exasperation and frustration for so many. And I should say, with all these canceled flights, most of the people who are most frustrated are likely at home right now and just waiting to get rebooked on something else. But big news this morning, all Alaska Airlines and Horizon flights in and out of both Portland and Seattle are canceled at least until noon. And Alaska Airlines says more cancellations may be coming later. We've already canceled 100 and some flights since yesterday. And SeaTac up in Seattle, they only have one runway open right now after they closed all of them for de-icing earlier this morning. And in total here at PDX, I've counted 180 flight cancellations, both arrivals and departures today on all the airlines. Another 18 or so flights are delayed. Only a couple of flights are going through. About 85% are canceled by my estimations. I'm going to step out of the way so you can take a look here at the lines for Hawaiian Airlines and United Airlines. On the left would be more for the checked bags, and on the right is for customer service. And unfortunately, I can tell you that that right line extends far past what you can see on the camera right now, back to the other side as well. Now, earlier today, I talked with passengers who are just trying to get to their holiday destinations, including a family of 29 who drove up about 3 hours today trying to get to Hawaii. That includes the parents, the children, anyone but the family dog, essentially. And here's what they had to say.
We are going to Oahu. Our flight seems to be on time, according to the app so far. We came from Albany. It took us three and a half hours, I think, to drive up here. Really slow on I-5, but we stayed a couple hours in a hotel and then made it our way over here because we came up way too early, but we wanted to make sure we got up here. So
your flight is on schedule as of now, but when you look at that,
as of now, yeah. Yeah. I'm a little nervous. We've been planning this trip for 4.5 years, so a little nervous, but we'll see.
Knowing that it is still. And in what may be a bright light in a frustrating morning for so many people, that family of 29 has walked past me, entered security, and are at their gate as it stands, and their flight is still scheduled to go, albeit a couple minutes late as of now. Now, there's that two sides to the coin situation we've talked about this morning, that if the flights are canceled early enough, people won't have to be sleeping on the floors here at the airport or saying they can stay home and wait until they get rebooked by their airline, by checking with the airline, the app, customer service, however they do so. But also for people who arrived this morning, like a woman who's trying to see her family in Guadalajara, Mexico, I talked to earlier. She said she didn't receive any communication. Her flight was canceled, showed up and found out, and is now trying to figure out her situation. So regardless, so many flights canceled here at PDX today, and more to come. As of now, it looks like all the morning flights, most of the morning flights are canceled along most of the airlines. The afternoon and evening, a little bit better odds if you're flying out, but a lot of time for that to change, and a lot of crews working to de-ice the planes and everything else here. Guys?
Yeah, but yay for the family of 29, because they are our bright spot. You're right. Evan Watson live at PDX. Well done this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope their wheels up soon. Yeah, from the skies to the roads. Now we're going to go to Devin Haskins, who's out on 99E in the Milwaukee area. And you guys are in Drive 8. What do you got?
We are in Drive 8. Yeah. We're just entering Southeast Portland here on Highway 99. And as you can see, roads go from looking what we thought were decent on I-205, just because of the snow was blowing off, to looking pretty bad. You get the snow sleet mix or whatever is all over the roads, just covering it. We've had to pull over multiple times just to scrape the ice off our windshield, and break it free from the windshield wipers and everything like that. So you got that freezing rain that's coming down, not only making it slippery, but as if you were to head out and drive, your windshield wipers are going to take a beating too as they get covered in that icy mixture. We've seen it all. We've seen, like I said, on 205, I don't want to call it clear because it's the snow and sleet is still there, but it's definitely blown away or blown in some areas to where it has cleared out. But in other areas where it has blown, those drifts are deep. And then you get up into like Vancouver. Vancouver is just a solid sheet of that snow and sleet. And then downtown Portland earlier this morning was the same thing. And so if you have to get out, just be aware that obviously the roads are, you can look out your own front window and see what the side streets are like. But the major roads still just as bad and need to be taken slowly. All right, we'll send it back to you guys.
All right, you and Eric Patterson, your photographer, have definitely covered some ground. We appreciate all your efforts.
For sure.
All right, Chris, sleet, freezing rain. There are a lot of definitions that you need to kind of.
Yeah, well, so snow's the easy one, right? Snowflake from the sky to the ground. Rain's the easy one too. It's a raindrop all the way down. But let's go ahead and show you. I wanted to point this out because this is what's going on. And it's good to bring this up because, I don't know, two weekends ago, we were like, will it snow at 38 degrees? And people are like, huh? And then this morning, we're like, why is it raining at 22 degrees? Well, this is why. We've got warm air that's a couple thousand feet over our heads that's punching in. The thicker that warm layer gets, the more we get away from snow and sleet to freezing rain. And I think the bottom line is I think the warmer air continues to win out aloft, and I think we transition to freezing rain more so in the metro area. And you'll see that depicted here on Futurecast as we roll the clock. That pink shading means basically an icy mix. And it's not going to be heavy. In fact, the precipitation is probably going to shut off from time to time. Let's call it intermittent for most of the day. But one thing I'm kind of watching is our modeling depicting another slug of moisture coming in late this afternoon. And guys, at the same time, while areas to the south, like Eugene and Salem by 4 o'clock may be above the freezing mark, Portland will not. I don't think we're anywhere near freezing at 4 o'clock. We probably don't get there until 8, 10, maybe midnight. And if that slug of moisture comes in, that's going to be freezing rain and probably pretty impactful, right? Because that stuff that's on the roadways at this point isn't melting either. I can tell you that eventually we do get above freezing. And if that happens early tomorrow morning, it may take that long to get Portland above freezing. But once it does, we're out of it. And we're out of it for days because you can see the 7-day forecast has us rainy with temperatures in the 50s.
That's going to be a huge change. I mean, we've gone from 22 to 50s.
Yeah. I think we got some frozen pipes in our house.
Really? In your house? Are you serious?
Yeah, we've got one against an exposed wall in the basement that is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got to go check that out. I'm not eager to check that out.
We're going to get some relief, but not right away.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We will continue to update you all throughout the Today Show with our local news cut-ins as things change. Chris will be here looking at traffic and with weather. And, text us your tips, your photos from your neighborhood. If it's safe to get out there and take a picture or video, send it to us. We'll share as many as we can here on the air. The number 503-226-5088. Have a good morning. We'll return you to the Today Show momentarily.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great and safe day.